Hello everyone, my name is Ksenia and in this video I'm going to share with you the most common questions for DAAD Scholarship interview, the trickiest questions I personally was asked, and my experience and some tips for you to be well prepared. Let's start with a brief introduction and my background so that you could know if you can relate your experience with my experience. But I think this information should be applicable in general for people who are applying not just for the DAAD scholarship but also for other scholarships. And even if you're not at the stage of interview for the DAAD scholarship yet, I think it will be pretty useful for you to know what you can cover in your motivation letter and CV to be more prepared for the next step, if you're invited for this one. But let's start. So I finished my bachelor's in Moscow in Russia, and I did my bachelor's in economics and statistics, and I applied for master's degree right directly after my bachelor's. So during the last year of my bachelor's I was applying, submitting documents and also going through the interview. I was applying for master's degree in Germany in actuarial science, which is pretty connected with the disciplines which I was studying during my bachelor's. Further, I was not accepted for my top priority university here in Germany, but still it does not matter because back then in March when I had my interview for DAAD, I did not know this. So all my motivation letter and CV, it was based on this actuarial science sphere. And another spoiler, I got my DAAD scholarship. To be precise, it was DAAD ERP, which is Economic Recovery Program, a special division of DAAD which gives scholarships for people coming from third world countries and especially for economic and business disciplines. But I think that my experience is in general applicable to DAAD for all disciplines or also DAAD for architecture and so on. And yes, now I'm a student here in Germany. I'm living here since August 2022, so already more than 1 year and a half, and I think I can share with you my insights, my experience, and let's see how it goes. So how my interview looked like. First of all, I got an invitation. It was like a message through the DAAD platform where they invited me, asked to sign some documents that I agree for a recording and so on, and send it back, and I did all of that. And then I got another email, if I'm not mistaken, from a manager of Russian office of DAAD informing me about the date, the time of my interview, and also in this email I got a list of professors who will interview me. And for sure, the first advice which I can give you, if you also get the same email, don't be lazy, don't waste your time and go and Google names of the professors who will interview you. Because with this you can get more insights about their background, think about potential questions which they may ask you, and just feel more chilled because you know these people somehow, you know from which universities they are, and maybe you even know how they look like. So yeah, it's a preliminary step, I would say, before your DAAD interview. Also, how the process looked like. I joined the Zoom call because it was still Corona time and my interview was online. So I joined the Zoom call. I was waiting in the waiting room, for sure being quite nervous, but trying to deep breathe. And then this manager of our Russian office, he introduced me to the professors, he introduced professors to me, and he asked me which language I would prefer, German or English, since all the programs which I have chosen, they were in English. Also in my motivation letter and my CV I mentioned that I would like to study in English, but still I had some preliminary knowledge of German, like maybe A1, so they asked. And for sure I said English. They made some jokes about like English, German and so on. It helped a lot to make the atmosphere not so stressful, and then the interview started. The first question was to me, to introduce myself, to tell a bit about my background, because for sure professors read all your documents and they know stuff about you, but they want you to speak again and maybe just to feel more confident to start the interview. Yeah, so they asked me about the disciplines in my bachelor's, about the topic of my bachelor thesis, and in general about myself, my plans and so on. The next question was more specific about my bachelor thesis, which methods did I use, why did I choose this topic. My topic was basically about comparison of pension systems in my country and here in Germany. So yes, they asked me a couple of questions about like approaches which I used, my hypothesis and so on. And then they asked about another scientific aspect, since I mentioned in my CV that I participated in conferences and workshops and summer schools. They asked if I also had some scientific articles, and I told a bit about my experience, since I had some articles in progress and some of them were already published. So we spoke a bit about this scientific part, and then I would say we got to this more theoretical part. So in general, my interview was not just about motivation, but also about like really methods which I can name from my sphere, from maths, from statistics, from economics, from actuarial science. And even though the professors who were interviewing me, they were not specialists in this particular sphere, they were like professors in business management and economics, still they were from Germany. My bachelor thesis was about Russian and German pension systems. So they asked me about some formulas, about demographic situation in these two countries, asked what are the further steps in my research. So yeah, I had this like part of more theoretical questions. They did not ask me to name a formula, how to calculate GDP or something, but also because it was not directly connected with what I was studying and with what I would like to study here in Germany. But also I know that for some other participants, for my friends who are now my friends, their interviews were more like focused on like business aspects of their thesis. If in this like team of professors they had one who's really specialized in the topic you're going to develop in your master degree. Then they asked me about my plans for the masters. We spoke a bit about the universities, my top 3 priorities, but we focused on my first priority, which was Technical University of München, which rejected me, by the way. But nevertheless, back then I didn't know this, they did not know this, so we spoke why this university, which methods I would like to study and use during my master degree, which disciplines are the most important for me and why. And then the next logical question was about my plans after masters. So they asked if I'm going to stay in academy or work in the industry. And if you're interested in this question, what I answered, I said that at first I would like to have some practical experience right after my master's degree and even throughout my master's degree. And then maybe if I feel that I need and I want to do a PhD, I will go and later do it. So it was like a tricky answer, a mix of both, but I really believed that it would be like this. And the last question, which was surprise for me, and it was like a funny one, a tricky one, and I think it's worth sharing this, because the last question was like, what will you do if you don't get a scholarship? And I was like, oh. But yeah, since I had a prepared answer and I really had a plan in my head that I will stay in my country and try to apply the next year again, I just shared it honestly. But yeah, I did not expect this one. And speaking about tricky questions, I know that some other people, they were asked like, why did you decide to go to Germany and not, for example, the US, where maybe medicine or business education is like more developed and so on. So really, be prepared for also this type of questions. And let's move to the next part, maybe the most important one in this video. I would like to share with you my top 3 advice for you if you're going to have an interview for the DAAD Scholarship or any other scholarship. Step number 1. Really invest your time and efforts into mindful preparation. Read again your motivation letter and your CV and think which questions professors may ask you, what they may be interested in, which maybe aspects you did not cover good enough and they may have questions about this. Go through all the documents which you prepared and put yourself on a place in the shoes of these professors and prepare these questions. Step number 2. Answer these questions. I would really suggest to create a Word document or Excel table or whatever format you prefer and write at least brief answers and main ideas which you can use to answer these questions which you created in step 1. And also not just answer these questions directly, but think how you can show a lot of sides of your personality, your interest, your background through these questions. Because during the interview, usually it's like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Still, you will have just maybe 5, 6, 7 questions and you have a chance to show really your interest, your personality, why this scholarship, why this degree is important for you. So use this opportunities not to just answer the question, yeah, in my bachelor thesis I used this method. Why did you use them? How you would like to develop them? Show this through your answers. And also I strongly believe if you have these ideas or answers written, it will help you to be a bit calmer and safer in the day of your interview, because you can just open this document like several hours in advance, go through it and be like, okay, I feel prepared because I really expect them to ask this or that. And honestly, I wrote 8 pages of like questions with answers all together, and basically all the questions that I were asked, I predicted them, almost all of them, like 6 out of 8 I would say. So even if they don't ask directly what you wrote, it will be something similar, and if you already have these ideas in your mind, you can just share them, even if the question is a bit different. And step number 3, which I think personally helped me a lot: ask your friends or parents or teachers and professors to go through your list of questions and ask them to you. Do this mock interview so that you feel more confident, more prepared. Maybe you will notice that, okay, so this question was tricky. I was not prepared to answer this. I did not have logic in my answer. I was like mixing up all the stuff. And this experience, it will help you. And also, if you have time, do it not just once, but do it once. Have this experience, understand your mistakes, how you could do it better, and do it again, maybe with another person or with the same one. So yeah, you feel just more confident and calm, and you know how to go through this process, because it will help not just from a practical point of view that you're ready, you practiced, but also mental. And mental, I think, is one of the most important things when you're going through an interview, which basically decides if you will get a fully funded scholarship for 2 years of your studies. And I hope really investing effort and your time into these 3 not so hard steps, you will feel prepared, and you will be really prepared, so that you can show your best during the interview. You can be yourself, but still presenting you so well that professors will be like, oh, I like this guy, or I like this girl, she deserves a scholarship, he deserves a scholarship, and well done, that's it, you get your scholarship. And also, since I believe that personal brand really matters a lot for your scholarship interview, further internship or job interview, and in general for your life. And since currently I'm interested in this sphere of marketing and psychology, I will be happy if some of you write in comments, and if you need some help with your preparation for the interviews, this like mock interview stage, maybe we can have a call like for half an hour or something. I can highlight you these most important sides of your personality and your soft and hard skills, so maybe it will help you, and it will also help me to practice as a specialist in this sphere. So feel free to write, feel free to share in the comments your opinion, your questions, whatever, and really good luck. If you're already on this stage, so you went through the first stage of screening and so on, and pre-selection, and you're preparing for the interview, you're already such a cool person. So just show yourself, show your interest, show your knowledge and your skills, and believe in yourself. People will believe in you, and you will get what you want. Fingers crossed, and good luck!